extra time.
শুধুই নয় টিউশনি, সঙ্গে আছে ছায়া প্রকাশনী।
We are having a legendary guest, as always, John Helm. John, once again, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Delighted to be here, and what a big occasion. I've been to Salt Lake for Mohun Bagan and East Bengal, but this is a World Cup final.
Yes, and of course, you're a commentator, so you never get biased, but still, England in the final, deserving so.
Well, I've often wondered what it would be like to be an Englishman commentating on England in a World Cup final. So this is a first for me. The England under-20 team won in Korea this year. I didn't do that tournament, so I wondered what that had been like for the commentator. Now I'm about to find out. And of course, I will be neutral. I promise every Spaniard in the country that I will be totally neutral, and I mean that sincerely. You have to be as a commentator. But of course, I'm an Englishman at the end of the day and would love England to win a World Cup.
Well, of course, and as we were discussing at the press conference as well, this English side, to be precise, is as good as any under-17 team played in the FIFA U17 World Cup from your country.
Oh, it's the best England team that's ever been produced at this age level, no question about it. We've always got through to the knockout stages, only once failing, but we've never reached a final before, never reached a semi-final before. I think big things are now expected, not just of this team, but of the future as a whole, with the under-20s winning, the under-19s reached the European final, now the under-17s in a World Cup final. For the first time in, oh, goodness me, half a century, I'm confident, really confident about the future for English football.
Well, we all know FIFA has a common slogan that go for goal, and what a wonderful World Cup it has turned out to be for all the attacking players. And Abel Ruiz at the same time, Brewster, even Jadon Sancho when he was available for the English side, he was scoring a lot of goals. So what do you think about these amazing performances of the attackers who are playing in this FIFA U17 World Cup?
It's why I've said all along that this is the best World Cup there's ever been at under-17 level, because the stars have been the attacking players. Now, in previous World Cups, we've had great defenders. You know, I'll go back to Baresi of Italy in a senior World Cup. You go, wow, what a player he is. Passarella of Argentina. But here, with all due respect to the defenders, it's been the attackers who've caught the eye. You've just mentioned Ruiz, Guihiri from France as well, Ruiz for Spain, the guy from Iraq, Dawood, who was excellent here as well, and Brewster, obviously, is the leading marksman in the entire tournament. Let's not forget Arp of Germany as well. And World Cups are about goals. They're about great goals. We've had some great goals here. Paulinho has scored a wonderful goal here in Kolkata the other night. And that is why, for me, it has been the best World Cup. A record number of goals. And we're definitely going to see a few more on the last day.
Well, it would be a lot of battles which would be going on tomorrow in the big final. But at the same time, how do you see the battle between Brewster and Abel Ruiz?
Well, that's an interesting one. They're two different types of players. Brewster, somebody made a good point actually in the press conference, that Brewster gets a lot of his goals from pullbacks from other players. It might be Foden, it might be Hudson-Odoi, and he takes up great stations, and he's always in there for the second ball as well. He might hit the shot and it might hit the keeper. He's there again. He's got a couple of his goals from ricochets, whereas Abel Ruiz is more the type who loves to run onto a ball. I love the goal he scored the other evening. Cesar Gelabert is my other favourite player in the Spanish team. And the second goal that was created for Ruiz was an absolute classic. The through ball between the two centre-halves, Ruiz coming in on the angle, side-footed the ball into the net. That's the mark of a great striker. The great strikers pass the ball into the net, and that's what Ruiz has done.
Well, England was highly relying on Jadon Sancho when he was available, and then came the role of Brewster, who was not at all looking that threatening in the first appearance which he made, to be precise, and then all of a sudden the way he adopted, how do you depict it?
Well, I think the disappearance of Sancho back to Borussia Dortmund in a way pulled this England team together, because they said, OK, we can manage without him. He's a great player, but we've got a squad. I think England have got the best squad here, and that's been noticeable. It was noticeable in the game against Brazil, when Brazil didn't have the personnel to bring on to change the game. So the fact that Brewster has suddenly started scoring goals in the last 5 games is significant. They haven't missed Sancho. You have to be honest and say they have not missed Sancho. And remember, Angel Gomez has played a very minimal part in this World Cup as well. But others like Hudson-Odoi and Gibbs-White, Smith Rowe have all come to the party, and I've not even mentioned yet my favourite player of the entire World Cup, Phil Foden. He's been absolutely outstanding.
Yes, you just mentioned about Phil Foden. What do you want to say about Hudson-Odoi? He has been alive on the pitch on the left side.
Yeah, terrific. Hudson-Odoi scored the first goal of the tournament from an England perspective. He netted in the 4-0 win here against Chile, and he's laid on a lot of goals as well, as has Foden. Let's not forget McEachran in the midfield as well. He's had a super tournament, he really has. And I spoke to the England coach yesterday, and understandably he will not pick out individuals, but he would recognise that the contributions of the players I've just mentioned has been outstanding.
We were discussing about Hudson-Odoi, Phil Foden, and more importantly, McEachran on the heart of the midfield. How do you see the performances of the Spanish midfield? Because Spanish midfield has always been one of the biggest source of their strength over the years.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ferran's a good player who wears the number 7 down the right-hand side. They talk about tiki-taka, and they talk about the Barcelona way of playing, the Real Madrid way of playing. And the contrast in styles is obvious. Spanish love to play the ball through midfield. We'll never probably ever see an Iniesta-Xavi combination ever again. But they do have good midfield players here. You know, Torres is a good player. He scored a wonderful goal the other evening. So the English love to attack down the flanks with quick balls, pace, getting the ball back for Brewster. The Spanish love to play the short 1-2s around the edge of the area and play that killer through ball for Abel Ruiz. So it is an interesting contrast in styles, which for me will make for a good final. But uppermost, I think, in England's mind will be they lost to Spain in the European final. They don't want this to be a case of déjà vu, even if they do have to win it on penalties, which would be ironic, of course. But I think that it is going to be a motivating factor, the fact that these two played one another as recently as May in Croatia in a final, and here we have a repeat in India.
Taking a note of your last answer, well, as you mentioned, these two teams faced in the Euro final last time in under 17. How much changes and how many developments both the teams have had in the last few months in the course of this FIFA U17 World Cup final?
Very few changes, because if we think back, it's only, 5 months ago? The goalkeeper is different for England, which might be interesting. Bursic was the only player in the squad of 21 who was not featured at all here, was the goalkeeper in that final. Anderson is featuring now, and it was interesting that in the penalty shootout, the only penalty shootout, by the way, that there has been here, he became the star of it, not only for making one save from the Japanese player, but also from scoring a penalty, and that has been part of the philosophy. The England coach has had to answer questions about penalty taking, but he said he's generally quite calm. You can do nothing about a penalty shootout. Somebody's going to win, somebody's going to miss, somebody's going to score. But the English mentality, I think, has changed with regard to that. I don't think there's any great fear in taking penalties. The Spanish haven't changed much either. Barlow, by the way, is missing for England, but apart from the goalkeeper. So 9 of the English players who played in that final are here again, and I think it's something similar with Spain.
Well, it's a huge stadium, as we all know, and England have almost played, except the game they played against, have played in Goa, to be precise, against USA, all the games which they have played at the very same venue. And Spain would be having their first match of this competition in this venue. Will this be a huge advantage for England? What do you say?
I'm not sure about it being an advantage. All I would say is that England love playing here. They've really enjoyed it. I mean, they've scored goals in every match bar one in this stadium. So they've got a good feel for the grass. They have a lovely feel for the crowd. I know they've enjoyed Kolkata. They've really enjoyed the hospitality here and the friendship of the people. So they'll feel like it being a home game. I know people in this city always talk about when Brazil play, it's a home game for Brazil. But England turned that around to their advantage the other night. And the one thing I will say about the football support in Kolkata, they appreciate the best team. So when Foden came off, he got a standing ovation for his performance. Brewster was cheered every time he got the ball. And it wasn't that the crowd turned against Brazil because they roared when they got the equaliser as well. It was just that they appreciated the good football that England were playing and have played. It's been scintillating stuff, you know. So it is an advantage in that sense. But all I would say was if Spain score early and Ruiz gets a goal, the crowd might get behind them as well if they feel that Spain are the better side. So an advantage can be turned into a disadvantage.
Well, if I ask you to pick the best combined 11 of this FIFA U17 World Cup, who would be then your side?
Oh my goodness me, that would be difficult. The Indian goalkeeper would get in. I think he was excellent. You know, he really was inspirational for the whole country. And I've seen a number of articles about him. The reason I'm hesitant about picking an 11 is because of what I said earlier, that the best players have been the attackers. You could name 6 strikers. You really could. You know, you would go with Ruiz, you would go with Brewster, you would go with Arp, you would go with Guiri. I mean, they've all been terrific, absolutely terrific. I've loved Cesar Gelabert of Spain, so he'd have to get in on the left-hand side. Foden would definitely be in on the right-hand side. You'd probably have Makeka in the middle. Kubo of Japan was excellent. I thought he might well get a midfield role, although one of the Spanish players, Torres, would as well. But my real problem would be in choosing the back four. It may well be that you would go with Latibaudiere and with Guhi, the 2 English centre-backs, because they have been outstanding. Originally, I might have said one of the American boys because they were good, but they had a bad night against England. And I've hardly mentioned a Brazilian in there, have I? You know, so that wouldn't be unfair because Paulinho was good, Alan was good. It's difficult to pick an 11, but certainly, can I have a 1-1-9 combination with 9 strikers?
Well, that sounds very, very interesting. Well, at the same time, I know that you are just hesitate to, predict in a big game and all that, but still, if it comes in terms of the performance level of this particular tournament for both the teams' perspective, who would be having the upper hand, at least on paper?
Yeah, I hesitate to predict outcomes, but if I had to go hand on heart either way, I think England want it that little bit more because of what happened in the European final. Spain may well prove me entirely wrong. They have got better with each performance. The coach today, Santi, did say that they need to improve defensively. The Brazilian coach, Amadeu, pointed out that physicality comes into play and that England are possibly the more physical of the 2 sides and could have the advantage there. But I just feel, it is only a gut feeling, that England just need it that fraction more, and that's maybe what will count.
Thank you so much, John. It's always a pleasure interacting with you. That was John Helm for you, and I hope his analysis has once again enriched all of you. Hit the subscribe option and the bell icon to get all the exclusive sports videos on Extra Time.